All right, we got a lot to do today. Welcome to our new room. Okay. First, we have 3 bills that make the process of applying for city services more inclusive. Too often, the forms that New Yorkers fill out to gain access to city government services don't include categories that apply to their identities. Now, of course, New York City's strength is our diversity, and we celebrate that diversity by giving every New Yorker the opportunity to be their true selves, in person and on paper. Because the City of New York can't change forms under state or federal regulation, these bills require the city to create a separate, anonymous, and voluntary survey form for demographic information. Intro 251A requires our new form to collect information about a person's ancestry and the languages they speak. The sponsor is Councilmember Danny Drum. Intro 551A requires the form to have an option for multiracial ancestry or ethnic origin. My children, thank you. The sponsor is Councilmember Margaret Chin. Intro 552A requires the form to ask questions about sexual orientation and gender identity. The sponsor is Councilmember Danny Drum. We are proud to be a progressive administration. We're proud to be in a progressive city. And these bills are a testament to our New York values of inclusion. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark-Viverito, the Director of the Office of Operations, Mindy Tarlow, Department of Education Chancellor Carmen Farina, Department of Social Services Commissioner Steve Banks, ACS Commissioner Gladys Carrion, Department of Health Commissioner Mary Bassett, Department for the Aging Commissioner Donna Corrado, Department of Youth and Community Development Commissioner Bill Chong, Councilmember Steve Levin, Chair of the General Welfare Committee, Councilmember Ben Kalos, Chair of the Committee on Governmental Operations, and now it's my pleasure to introduce the Commissioner for the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, Nisha Argawal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I am so happy to be here today. New York City is one of the most diverse cities in the world. Millions of us are immigrants or the children of immigrants. We are residents from every corner of the globe. Given this diversity, I am so pleased to be here as the mayor signs intros 251A, 551A, and 552A. It is important for the city to be sensitive to the demographics and cultural characteristics of our populations that we serve and really help capture the full nuance of that diversity. These bills will help us provide better services to the underrepresented. Immigrants with different backgrounds have different needs, and these bills are tailored to allow for targeted services in health, education, and more. The bills will also allow immigrants to self-identify about their ethnic heritage, their multiracial identity, their sexual orientation, and their gender identity. I want to thank the many, many community-based organizations and others who advocated for this bill. Thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to bring up the Executive Director of the Commission on Gender Equity, Azi Khalili.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, and this is a really wonderful day. And thank you for your vision for equity and opportunity for all, and in particular for your unwavering support of gender equity. Under your leadership, just last month, New York City received a true perfect score of 116 out of 100 points for LGBT inclusivity by Human Rights Campaign.
We got more than 100.
Woo! Yes, 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 we did. The group examines the laws, policies, and services of municipalities and rates them on the basis of their inclusivity of LGBT people who live and work there. New York City is one of 11 cities to receive true perfect score. So today we are sending another powerful message to New Yorkers that the City of New York is committed to fostering environments that support LGBT individuals. And I'd like to thank Councilmember Danny Drum for sponsoring Intro 251A and Intro 552A. Voluntary data collection about sexual orientation and gender identity will help us get smarter about who's coming through our doors to access services and who we need to reach out to. Data will give us a vitally important perspective as we seek to continually improve services and craft progressive solutions to combat inequity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Now the sponsor of Intros 251A and 552A, Councilmember Danny Drum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And this is a historic day for us in the LGBT community because this will be the first time that data collection, demographic data collection, will be collected on LGBT people in the city of New York. So thank you for signing this bill for us today. The package of bills Councilmember Chin and I have advanced will require the modernization of demographic forms to enhance in the design, delivery, and development of city services. Data collection is critical to the way government, nonprofit organizations, and funders respond to the needs of our city. Before today, there was essentially a black hole. 7 key city agencies, including the Department of Education, will collect data on the city's top 30 ethnicities and languages. This includes the disaggregation of the Asian category into Chinese, Korean, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and so on. This also means that Arab, Dominican, and Guyanese New Yorkers, among many others, will be able to identify themselves on such city forms. Significantly, this bill provides for a write-in option to aid in the identification of emerging communities. I am so excited that the city will now collect data on sexual orientation and gender identity. This means that for the first time, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender and queer and questioning New Yorkers will be able to see themselves reflected in city-collected demographic data. There will be a valuable training component to ensure that staff interacting with individuals filling out forms do so in a sensitive and informed way. As a 25-year veteran school teacher and someone who came out in a very public way, I am very happy that we were able to ensure the inclusion of the Department of Education. The DOE will be tremendously helped in its efforts to combat homophobia and transphobia and strengthen its programming for LGBTQ students and their families. Thank you to my partner in this effort, Councilmember Margaret Chin, Mr. Mayor, Speaker Mark Viverito, Committee Chairs Kalos and Levin, Committee Councils Brad Reed and Andrea Vasquez, Rachel Cordero and Laura Popa, and all the advocates whose vision made this a reality. With the signing of these bills, so many New Yorkers, including myself, can now say, now we count.
And now a woman with a very tall voice. A big, tall voice. Councilmember Margaret Chin, sponsor of Intro 551A.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Margaret Chin, the proud sponsor of Intro 551A, 1/3 of the legislative package that will modernize our city's data collection forms. Together, these bills will ensure that city agencies can accurately count multiracial New Yorkers, LGBTQ New Yorkers, and New Yorkers from the top 30 ethnic groups that reside in the city. These bills are about reflecting the diversity of our great city and ensuring our residents receive their fair shares of city services. It is about recognizing people that make our city great, like my former chief of staff, Yume Kitase, who now works for you, Mayor. Yume, like more than 320,000 New Yorkers, is multiracial, like your kids. Like millions of Americans, she is proud of her rich heritage, passed down by both her mother and her father. She is 100% Asian and 100% white, and her full identity deserves to be recognized by her city. So, Mayor, I thank you for signing the bill today, and I also want to thank our speaker, Melissa Mark Viverito, my partner, Councilmember Danny Drum, all the advocates, and all the city council staff that works on this bill, especially my legislative director, Vincent Fang. And we're celebrating today. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, we have some public testimony. I'll call up 4 people to, where is the microphone? There it is, okay. I'd like to call up, everyone come up and just speak in turn. Spencer Washington, Maha Atiya, Noylin Mendoza, and Brian Ellicott.
Good Hello. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, and thank you for everyone who was involved in this piece of legislation. My name is Spencer Washington, and I'm a senior at Academy for Young Writers in Brooklyn. When I was first made aware of the bill that would require New York City Department of Education to collect data on sexuality and gender identity of students, I spoke with several people about the pros and cons of passing something like this. I shared my perspective as a student that it would directly impact and share my personal experience as someone who falls in the LGBT category. My school previously amended its own climax survey to help ensure that LGBT students and its staff members felt safe and supported. Many of my classmates were surprised when the results of the survey was announced. The survey is just one example. I've personally mentored other transgender youth in the middle school about gender and intersexuality. Currently, schools only track the data on the harassment LGBT students face that are subject to our negative incidents in which they have been involved. There's nothing on file about which pronouns we identify as or the documentation on how staff can better support us. This bill will help us put those formal processes in place to collect this data at the schools across the city and hopefully raise awareness about what it means to be an LGBT youth in public school. I support this bill and have a great deal of respect for those working towards achieving it. This is a step in the right direction in advocating for LGBT youth across the city, and I look forward to seeing more improvements and continuing this important work. Thanks again.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Drum and Councilmember Chen. My name is Maha Atiyah from the Arab American Family Support Center, and I'm a health program manager there. I just want to say thank you for signing the bill on behalf of the Arab American community and the Muslim community and South Asian community. Now we can be counted, and we can provide services in their own culture and their own language, and we really appreciate it. It's an honor for me to be here. To be part of this history. It's the first time for me ever here. I'm an immigrant from Palestine, and this is the first time that I witnessed a signing of a bill. I'm so proud for my community. I don't want to cry. This is a historic moment and the best street I ever seen on Halloween Day. And thank you.
Excellent.
Good afternoon. My name is Noylan Abasamas Mendoza. On behalf of the Coalition for Asian American Children and Families, we thank you, Mayor de Blasio, and the City Council for recognizing that every New Yorker is an integral part of the diversity that makes this the greatest city in the world. New Yorkers will soon be able to identify in all the myriad and multi-layered ways that we want to be counted. We are especially grateful to Council members Drum and Chin for their leadership on this issue. The Asian Pacific American community is the fastest growing community in New York. We are over 1 million individuals comprising our community, and New York is home to the second largest population of Asian Americans in the country. Yet little is known about the unique needs of our over 40 different ethnic groups. While we share the overarching category of Asian Pacific Americans, our migration and settlement experiences coming to the US is different. We speak over 100 languages and dialects. We practice different religions and have specific cultural practices. The APA community is also among the largest number of individuals who identify as multiracial. However, these nuances were often lost. We know that members of our community say that services and resources were not adequately allocated to meet the growing demand of APA communities because little data was available before today. So the passage of these data bills is an important first step. This will open up many new doors in the way that we're able to better serve our community, and we know that this is just the beginning. By allowing New Yorkers to identify as LGBTQ, multiracial, or as members of a specific ethnic group, we are ensuring that everyone in the city is counted and that services reach people that need it the most. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon.
Councilmember Chen, Councilmember Drum. My name is Brian Ellicott, and I'm an LGBTQ activist from Staten Island who identifies as transgender and bisexual. It's about the half dozen times I've said this here. It's kind of cool. I am also here with my mother, Deborah Ellicott, who is a straight ally and proud P-flag parent. LGBT Americans, Arab Americans, Asian Americans, Caribbean Americans, Latinos, and people of mixed ancestry have all one thing in common. They pay taxes. As a person with multiple identities, which include my sexual orientation and gender identity and expression, I truly believe that this collection of data will be our city government's help in improving lives, while making sure those who choose not to see us are now forced to see us. Thank you very much.
You. All right, that covers the public testimony. Let's sign the bills. Hogging the line. There. So.
Thank you.
Well done. I look up to you.
Well, I look up to you quite a bit, so. But we're great partners.
We could make this joke all day long. These bills are now law.
We're going to start the next signing shortly, so please.
You're very welcome. Pleasure. Thank you for testifying.
I got the best.
Okay, we're going to do more bills, so if you're not staying, please exit the room. Choose how you like. We open second. Two comments. Don't break the law. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Next, we have 3 bills that will help our buildings conserve energy. Now, we've made our goal clear to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by the year 2050. To get there, we must adopt more efficient, energy-efficient systems across the city and reduce our energy use altogether. To accomplish this, we need better information about where and how we expend our energy so we know where to focus our reduction efforts. Intro 1163A requires owners of mid-sized buildings to report their building's energy use and water consumption to the City of New York annually. The sponsor is Councilmember Dan Garodnick. Intro 1160 requires mid-sized buildings to install sub-meters in non-residential tenant spaces that are at least 5,000 square feet. The sponsor is Councilmember Costa Constantinidis. Sub-meters measure energy consumption in individual tenant spaces, allowing tenants to see how much energy they actually use. In buildings where tenants pay a flat energy fee as part of their monthly rent, there's no way to know if they overpay for the amount of energy they use. That means tenants who save energy overpay, and tenants who overuse energy have no incentive to change their practices. These sub-meters will allow building owners and tenants to see who's using the most energy and come up with strategies to make smarter decisions. Intro 1165 requires mid-sized buildings to upgrade their lighting systems to comply with the standards in the New York City Energy Conservation Code. The sponsor is Councilmember Donovan Richards. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark-Viverito, Councilmember Dan Garodnick, Councilmember Corey Johnson, Councilmember Jamani Williams, Chair of the Housing and Buildings Committee, and now introduce my Senior Director of Climate Policy and Programs and our Chief Resilience Officer, Dan Zerilli.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. These three bills really expand on the sustainability work of the mayor, are a key pillar for our 1NYC program and our goals to advance our 80 by 50 program and reduce greenhouse gas emissions across the city, and of course support the global effort to combat climate change and the Paris Agreement that's coming into effect. But I think we all know that we don't wait for global accords to come into effect before we take action here in New York City. Buildings account for over 2/3 of the city's greenhouse gas emissions, which we've pledged to reduce 80% by 2050. Today's local law updates expand benchmarking, install sub-meters, and upgrade lighting systems. Access to this key information, particularly with benchmarking, we know is a critical part of saving energy and saving greenhouse gas emissions. We've already seen it with the larger buildings, saving 8% on their greenhouse gas emissions and 6% of their energy use across the city, and we're expanding that today to smaller buildings. And it also saves money, which I think is the most important part of this to many building owners. This is part of a continuing effort to upgrade buildings across the city. I want to congratulate the Department of Buildings for this work, how it aligns with the 2016 Energy Code updates, and our work to build a sustainable, resilient, and more equitable city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to the council sponsors, Constantinidis, Richards, Garodnick, to the sustainability team led by John Lee here in the mayor's office, and to our partners at Urban Green and NYU CUSP. Thank you to all for this great moment. Thank you.
And now our Department of Buildings Commissioner, Rick Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. As the mayor so rightly said, cities that lead on climate lead on buildings. With nearly 3/4 of all emissions in New York City generated by buildings, their design and operation must be front and center in our effort to address the negative effects of climate change. Improving energy efficiency in buildings not only mitigates climate change, saving energy also saves you money. This legislation awaiting the mayor's signature represents the latest of numerous initiatives undertaken by this administration to improve energy performance in the city's buildings. Together, these bills will require approximately 10,500 more buildings between 25,000 and 50,000 square feet to annually benchmark their energy and water usage, and by 2025, upgrade to more energy-efficient lighting and sub-meter their non-residential tenant spaces that are at least 5,000 square feet. I'd like to thank Mayor de Blasio for his leadership in advancing bold solutions to address the perils of climate change, solutions that will enable us to reach our goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050. I'd also like to thank Speaker Mark-Viverito and Housing and Buildings Chair Williams. Finally, I'd like to thank my staff, particularly Assistant Commissioner for Technical Affairs, Gus Sarakis, and Gina Bokra, our Chief Sustainability Officer. Thank you very much.
Now my pleasure to introduce the sponsor of Intro 1160, Councilmember Costa Constantinidis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your bold commitment to the climate as always. It's been a great partnership, and we at the council appreciate your bold leadership, not only in this city, but worldwide. Thank you. As we move closer to our goal of reducing carbon emissions 80% by 2050, we must consider all pathways to get us there. Over 70% of city carbon emissions come from buildings, and encouraging sustainable energy consumption habits will decrease those emissions. Intro 1160 will reduce our energy usage and help combat climate change. Currently, buildings over 50,000 square feet are required to have installed electric submeters in tenant spaces by 2025. This bill would expand these requirements to buildings over 25,000 square feet. Submetering tenant spaces will encourage occupants to use energy more efficiently by making each tenant aware of their energy consumption. And knowledge is power. But that partnership can be a real boon to our energy consumption reductions. Combined with Intro 1163, this policy will stimulate over $100 million in economic activity and will save $35 million a year in energy costs. I want to thank, of course, Dan Zarilli for his great work. His title's longer than my last name, so I won't go into it, but our senior policy and our DOB Commissioner Chandler, my colleagues in government that are here today, Donovan Richards and Dan Garodnick, our chair of H&B, Jamani Williams, and all the council staff. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the sponsor of Intro 1165, Councilmember Donovan Richards.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's great to finally see eye to eye with you. I don't know if it's a Halloween joke that you're sitting today. Okay. I think I like you towering over the back of me rather than looking me in the eye as I read, but it's another story for another day. But good afternoon. I am proud to stand here today with Mayor de Blasio and my colleagues in the council to sign a new bill into law that will continue our push to make New York a greener, more sustainable city by combating climate change and preserving our coastal neighborhoods for our future generations. Energy conservation is the issue of the day, and the fact of the matter is that we are too wasteful in New York. So we must cut our energy consumption every way that we can. My bill, Intro 1165, will reduce the threshold that mandates lighting upgrades in buildings from 50,000 square feet to 25,000 square feet. This lower threshold will include over 10,000 more buildings and ensure that they are in compliance by January 1st, 2025, with the standards for new systems set forth in the New York City Energy Conservation Code. In conjunction with the current mandate, buildings will be required to have interior lighting controls, light reduction controls, and motion sensors. They will also be mandated to comply with the standards for tandem wiring, exit signs, interior lighting power requirements, and exterior lighting. Calling for voluntary reductions will not get us sizable results. Turning lights off is a simple common sense measure, and this legislation accomplishes this goal while also saving business owners from unnecessarily large electricity bills. Energy efficiency is the new standard, and we all have a part to play on God's green earth to ensure that this earth is better than it is. And I will just say, post-Sandy, this weekend we celebrated, well, not celebrated, but commemorated the anniversary of Sandy. So everything that we do today actually stems the tide of climate change later. So I'd like to thank Mayor de Blasio once again, Commissioner Chandler, Speaker Melissa Mark-Farito, Laura Poper, Jennifer Wilcox, and Megan Chen in our legislative division, my Director of Legislation, Jordan Gibbons, and all the advocates, including Climate Works for All, the Urban Green Council, and also Dan Zarelli, of course, who has proven time and time again that he is dedicated to a better environment for our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's sign the bill. Okay, close to the line first. Down in front. 40. Well done. hands. How many you want for this one? Four? We'll give you a you know something? That's very big of you. You are really a laugh machine today at the bill signing. Wait, do we need an extra one here? I've only got one. Wow, that was impressive. You get one. You get the second one too. You notice how she's moving the goalposts? Yeah. Does everyone else get a pen? Okay. Okay. This is an ever-changing situation. Okay. Here's one. Here's another one. Anyone else? Last call. This is the last one, right? Okay. So you and these bills are now law. Okay. Next. Here we go. We have two bills. They expand reporting by the NYPD. Intro 959B requires NYPD to report quarterly and annually on hate crimes. The sponsor is Councilmember Mark Levine. These reports will categorize arrests and complaints based on the type of hate crime. That could be an attack targeting someone for their ethnicity, their religion, their sexual orientation, or other characteristics of their identity. And then Intro 728B requires the NYPD to publish its patrol guide online. The sponsor is Councilmember Dan Garodnick. The NYPD's patrol guide contains the rules police officers must follow while on the job. What the police are and aren't allowed to do should not be a secret. It's in our collective interest to know. This bill will give New Yorkers more information and will protect police officers. The published patrol guide will not reveal anything that could compromise NYPD safety or investigations. Building bonds between police and communities they serve is the foundation of a fairer and safer New York City. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, NYPD Commissioner Jimmy O'Neill, Councilmember Dan Garodnick, Councilmember Vanessa Gibson, Chair of the Committee on Public Safety. Now my pleasure to introduce the sponsor of Intro 959B, Councilmember Mark Levine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for being such a great partner on this and so many other fronts. CompStat's been successful for NYPD in part because it's a great management tool, but also because it keeps the public informed. It gives them the facts on public safety in our city, and that's what we want people to base their emotions on, whether it's public safety or any other issue. We're extending that kind of disclosure now to an important class of crimes in hate crimes. When someone is attacked in a hate crime, it's not only brutal targeting of that individual, it's an attack on the values of New Yorkers, and that's why the public wants to know and has a right to know what are the trends in this horrible class of crime. And I'm thrilled now that through this bill, the mayor will be signing today, we'll have quarterly disclosure of hate crimes across every class of animus, race, religion, ethnicity, gender expression, and more. And for the first time, that we'll be reporting on demographics of the arrestee. This is going to be an important step forward towards real-time information for a class of crime that sadly is responsive to current events. And we want the public and policymakers to have that information on a regular basis. I'm thrilled we're doing that in this bill, and I want to thank those who worked to make it possible, including our entire legislative division with Brian Crow and Deepa Ambakar, and my legislative director, Amy Slattery. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right.
That's teamwork. I like that. Okay, wait now. You need the Mark. I need you in the key position here. Okay. Two. You only want two.
Well, now that you use it. Right. It's up the ante.
Down front. Do you get last? One here? You want that one? These bills are law. Okay. Okay, next, we have a bill that brings greater fairness to the hard-working men and women in our food service industry. Intro 1011A mandates that whenever a food service worker is displaced due to a change in ownership or a transfer of contract, the new owner or contractor must retain the worker for 90 days. The sponsor is Councilmember Idanis Rodriguez. After the 90-day transition, the successor employer or contractor must evaluate the employee and offer continued employment if their work is deemed satisfactory. The incumbent owner or contractor must post a notice informing employees of their rights during the transition. And this is part of our work every day for a better and fairer New York City that values working people and their families. I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito and now introduce Councilmember Idanis Rodriguez, sponsor of Intro 1011A.
Se puede. I used to be a cafeteria worker, Food Concept Corporation, One Battery Plaza, and 92 World Trade Center. So I know how important it is to protect those men and women who work so hard to support themselves, to support their family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to my colleagues, Speaker Melissa Marverito, the legislative staff of the City Council, and to the great advocates who were a force behind the passage of this bill, including my sister and friend, Susie Lozada. A big round of applause for Susie. Susie make this as her baby, and together, working with the whole leadership of United here, Local 100, they make these things happen. I'm glad to say that today, cafeteria workers across the city will no longer need to fear management changes in their workplaces as they once did. By expanding protections for these workers through a 90-day period for retention, we will ensure that workers do not lose their jobs in the case of a management change. We know that this has been a concern for some time for members of this industry. Many of the contractors that manage cafeterias throughout our city have used changes in management to keep workers on edge and prevent efforts to organize. These hardworking men and women deserve the peace of mind that they can keep their jobs when management changes or find a job within a reasonable amount of time if they feel the new management isn't a good fit for them. This is becoming more and more of an established right for workers in New York City, as the council has now enshrined it for grocery workers and building service workers. And hopefully, we can continue to expand these rights of retention for all workers across more sectors, affirming the importance of workers in our city and letting employers know that they are not expendable. I will continue these efforts together with the chairman of the Labor Committee, Councilmember Miller, and the speaker and the rest of my colleagues, and working together with the administration. And I know my colleagues will continue to support them, as well as we continue working to lift up the working families across the city in need of support. Thank you. Hoy es un día muy importante. Hoy es un día muy importante donde el liderazgo del alcalde pone su firma para hacer realidad la protección del derecho de los trabajadores de cafetería, que no vivan en miedo cuando una compañía nueva la compra en el estadio de los Mets, de los Yankees, de los museos, de los deportes. Hoy nosotros estamos haciendo realidad el derecho de los trabajadores y lo vamos a seguir defendiendo para expandirlo a otros sectores. Muchas gracias.
And now my honor to introduce the chair of the Committee on Civil Service and Labor, Councilmember Donique Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And congratulations, and thank you, Chair Rodriguez, for your introduction of this important legislation. Once again, we are here to address critical protections of working families across the city. Not just protection for working families, but protection for the communities that they serve, and also the community, consumers that they serve as well. It is important today that we recognize the Worker Retention Act that is being passed this afternoon. New owners will now be mandated to evaluate the needs of their businesses so that they can run more efficiently and as efficiently as possible by giving the 90-day assessment period that was previously talked about. At the hearings in past that we have held, that myself, other elected officials, labor leaders and organizations, policy folks have all testified to the protections that will enhance the quality of life, not just for the people in the industry, but for the communities that they serve. While this law sounds simple, it is critical to supporting those who are looking to enter the middle class. With high rents, extra costs, and stress of healthcare and others throughout the city, it is very, very important that we have this worker retention to exist. I do not want to be redundant, but I could not overstate the value of worker retention, as it was said. This is a tool that is in our toolbox. It enhances the lives of not just the working families within these industries, but the communities and our great city. While we strive to attract new businesses and new industry to the city of New York, it is important that we maintain those critical industries that have served us diligently for many, many years and keep them here. And the Worker Retention Act that we are passing today, consistent with the others, is going to do that. So I'm very thankful to Unite here for your advocacy. Again, Susie, you have been resilient beyond belief. Mr. Mayor, I thank you for your advocacy, and your team has been, that you have assembled, has been really, really a great partner as we strive to enhance the lives of working families in so many different ways. So I want to thank you and your entire team. And let's get this thing signed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. I want to call up two speakers who have signed up for public testimony right at the microphone over there. They're both very distinguished. First, the famous Susie Lozada. Please come forward. And Jose Maldonado. Please come forward. What, Bill gets to speak also?
It is my president who will be speaking, Nami.
And you have to introduce yourself.
Okay, Bill Granfield, president of Unite Here Local 100. And I'm here with Susie Lozada. That's all I have to say.
So I guess it's up to me now, right?
There you go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Maldonado, and on behalf of 15,000 workers in New York and New Jersey, I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for the retention bill. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We also want to say, Donnie, thank you very much. The Labor Committee and all council members, thank you very much. This is extremely important to us. You don't know how important it's to us. Let me just give you a recent example of what happened to some of our members. Even though this is going to help our union members, it's going to help non-union members. Some time ago, a company, which I'm not going to name, took over a cafeteria, and about 25 workers were left without a job overnight. For 39 days, we were out there in the cold picketing and asking for those job backs, right? And thank God, because of the pressure and the people and with the power of the people, we could make things happen, right? Absolutely. And those workers got their job back, right? But they lost 39 days of salary, right? In this case, this won't happen anymore because they have 90 days to work, 90 days to prove themselves, their skills and abilities, and what? And after those 90 days, they're going to retain these workers because our workers and our food service and our industry know what they're doing, right? So once again, thank you very much, and this is a step forward for the different types of industries that are out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to welcome members of Unite Here Local 100 to come up and join us for the bill signing. brother. You got it? He's got it for me. Thank you. We can do it. Okay, here we go. Okay, everyone. Everybody, let's clear out. We got one more bill here. Okay. Last, we have a bill that will bring more resources to our local small business community. Intro 1282 authorizes 8 business improvement districts and 2 special assessment districts to increase the amount they spend annually. The sponsor is Councilmember Julissa Ferreras Copeland. Now, our bids reinforce our local businesses and help them to thrive. The districts included in this bill are located throughout our city, from Woodhaven to downtown Brooklyn. Stakeholders within the boundaries of each district have requested budget increases to improve the services they provide, and these additional funds will help more neighborhoods and the businesses in them be the best they can be. Again, I want to thank Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, Chair of our Finance Committee, Councilmember Julissa Ferreras Copeland, Council members Elizabeth Crowley and Eric Ulrich, whose district includes the Woodhaven bid, Councilmember Lori Kumbo, whose district includes the Metrotech bid, Councilmember Dan Garodnick, whose district includes the Madison Avenue, Fashion Center, and Fifth Avenue bids, Councilmember Corey Johnson, whose district includes the Fashion Center bid, Councilmember Brad Lander, whose district includes the Atlantic Avenue bid, Councilmember Rory Lansman, whose district includes 165th Street Mall and Jamaica Central Mall, Councilmember Stephen Levin, whose district includes Atlantic Avenue, Court, Livingston, Schermerhorn, and Metrotech bids, and Councilmember Paul Vallone, whose district includes the Bayside Village bid. With that, I would like to introduce our Small Business Services Commissioner, Greg Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To start, I want to congratulate the 10 districts, including Atlantic Avenue, the Madison Avenue, and of course the Fashion Center, otherwise known as the Garment Center. I want to thank sponsor Councilmember Julissa Ferreras Copeland and the council members representing these districts. At SBS, we're working hard to open doors for New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, focus on creating stronger businesses, connecting New Yorkers to good jobs, and fostering thriving neighborhoods. And we see BIDS as partners in advancing these goals. BIDS invest more than $127 million annually to address the needs of our neighborhoods through assessments as well as external grants and fundraising. These services help thriving neighborhoods through clean and safe initiatives, marketing and business promotion, streetscape enhancements, infrastructure improvements, and vital advocacy efforts on behalf of local businesses, property owners, and residents. As Commissioner, I'm dedicated to ensuring that our city's 72 bids receive the services and assistance they need to succeed, because they are not only making our streets cleaner and safer, but are building the neighborhoods where New Yorkers shop, work, and live. I'm also dedicated to ensuring that bids are engaging and supporting their diverse and local communities. These organizations are resourceful, innovative, and here to serve all New Yorkers. I want to recognize Deputy Mayor Commissioner Blaise Backer and his team, Steve and Michael, who's here, on their work for the critical assessment increases and their work with all the bids in New York City. Congratulations to the bids here today. These increases will help each organization to better serve your neighborhoods and provide an even higher level of service and advocacy. Thank you.
And now, Councilmember Danique Miller, whose district includes 165th Street Mall and Jamaica Center Mall. Welcome.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Commissioner Bishop. Commissioner Bishop, I was saying, we were talking about your team earlier. You have spent a great deal of time out in the Jamaica area and dealing with these bids. Specifically, I want to thank you for your advocacy and your help in helping to grow what we see as a truly emerging community. And these bids play a really, really important role in that. And they have really struggled over the years, and these special assessments will certainly allow the Jamaica bid and 165th Street Mall to change, significantly enhance the way they serve the downtown Jamaica area. And these changes to the tax assessments being signed today will allow the exhibits, promotions, and opportunities that they have provided to the community to continue to enhance successfully the community and continue to allow them to serve the more than 300 small businesses, 3 cultural institutions, many landmark buildings, and throughout the district that they have been serving. This is really important that this happens. I look forward to continuing to work with these bids, but most importantly, I can look forward to continuing to work with the administration, SBS, and all those that we help to enhance and grow this emergency community. And one of the things that we have to do in order to make that happen, to make sure that they are being properly funded, and this assessment is really vital to that growth. So I'm looking forward to this being signed, and so that they can move forward and really provide the services for the small businesses in the community that will certainly enhance downtown Jamaica and all the communities that the bids serve throughout the city. So this is really important. I thank the mayor and his team again for signing this legislation, and I look forward to working with everyone in the future. Thank you.
Summary. Hold on. I'm out of order. Okay. Just a few words in Spanish that's going to summarize all the legislation we've worked on today. Hoy firmé 10 leyes locales para crear un proceso más inclusivo para solicitar servicios de la ciudad, proteger a los trabajadores en la industria de servicios de comidas, ayudar a nuestros edificios a conservar energía, ampliar reportes del Departamento de Policía y llevar más recursos a nuestros pequeños negocios locales. Estas leyes nos ayudan a crear una ciudad más justa, más verde y más transparente para todos. Now I've got it right. Okay. Come on up. The more the merrier. Do the trick. Come on up. Whoever wants to come in, come on in, the water's fine. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
And Commissioner, congratulations. Well done. Okay. Commissioner, will you distribute the pens, please? Come to City Hall, get a free pen. It's your lucky day. Quality pen. You got another tray? Yes. We need one more. Okay. You up on that step, will you? Wait, you got another? One more? How many we need? I've got one in my hand. Tell me how more to what that inside it. Two will do it? 3? 3?
We're coming out of the woodwork. Anyone else?
This is the last. We need one more or more than one? There's a voice of reason right there. We don't do one for Jalissa, do we? Those now law. There you go. All right. And the hearing is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.